Welcome to Unit 5, Lesson 3. We're going to get started today with our warm-up. So we have changing elevations. Draw arrows on the number line to represent these situations. The temperature was -5 degrees, then the temperature rose 5 degrees. A climber was 30 feet above sea level, then she descended 30 feet. What's the opposite? Running 150 feet east, jumping down 10 steps, pouring 8 gallons into a fish tank. So pause the video and take a few minutes to answer those questions. Welcome back. So let's start with this first one. We're going to have to number this number line. So we had -5 degrees and it went up 5 degrees. So I'm going to pick a point in the middle and just call that 0 and go negative. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, +5. And we're just going to label that. Then I can go ahead and draw it. So we started at -5 degrees, and I'm going to draw my arrow. And then the temperature rose 5 degrees, so it became warmer. So it went up 5 degrees. So we should have a diagram that looks like this. Letter B. The climber was 30 feet above sea level, then she descended 30 feet. So again, I'm just going to pick a point in the middle, call it 0, and I can choose basically any one of these lines. I'm going to go at the end. I'm going to call this 30, and I'm going to call this -30. Alright, so now I can go ahead and draw my line. So they were 30 feet above sea level. So let's draw that in, 30 feet above sea level. And then they descended 30 feet. So they went right back down. This goes back to absolute value. They cancel each other out. And they're the same distance from 0. So 30 feet out, 30 feet down, it's still going to be 0. All right, what's the opposite? Running 150 feet east would be running 150 feet west. The opposite of jumping down 10 steps would be jumping up 10 steps. And for C, pouring 8 gallons into a fish tank, the opposite would be taking 8 gallons out of the fish tank. Wonderful. So that was our warm-up page for today. Let's go ahead and look at the first activity. So we are looking at cliffs and caves. A mountaineer is climbing on a cliff. So this person here, or these people, our mountaineers, they are climbing up a cliff. She is 400 feet above the ground. If she climbs up, this will be a positive change. So if she's going up, it's a positive change. If she climbs down, this will be a negative change. So if she's going down, it's negative, but if she's going up, it's positive. So they want us to complete the table. So let's look here. I want to keep our positive and negative in view. So we started at 400 feet, and she goes up 300 feet. So we are going to be adding these numbers together. So 400 plus 300 equals 700. So our final elevation here would be 700. if we look at the next one, we have 400 and we went down 150 feet. So we're going down. That's going to be a negative change. So what we're going to need to do is add a negative. So we'll have 400 plus negative 150 equals what? So if we have 400 plus negative 150, it's the same as saying 400 minus 150. So if I have 400 and I take away 150, 0, this becomes a 3, 10 minus 5 is 5. So our change in elevation is now we're going to be at 250 feet. Letter C, we are starting at 400 and we're going down 400. So 400 plus negative 400 equals 0 because they cancel each other out. They are the same distance away from 0, so they cancel each other out. This last one's a little bit tricky. A little bit tricky here. So let's take a look at it. We have 400 blank 50. So are we going to go up or are we going to go down? What do you think? Are we going to go up or are we going down? That's right, we're going to go down. So how far is 400 from 50? Well, we could figure that out by doing 400 minus 50, which would give us 350. So we're going 350 feet down to get to our 50 elevation. All right, letter B. Write an addition equation and draw a number line diagram for B. Include the starting elevation, change, and final elevation in your diagram. So we already wrote our equation. We had 400 plus negative 150 is equal to 250. All right, so now we've got to number our number line. So let's see. Our lowest point, I guess, can be 0. And let's see, we can probably skip up by 50s. So we'll go 50, 100, 150. That looks like an 8. 1, 5, 0. 200, 250, 300, 350, and 400. Might as well finish it off. 450, 500. All right, so we're going to draw in what we had for 400. That's where we started. So we're going to draw in our 400. And then we can go ahead and draw in our subtraction. So we're going to count back by 50s until we get to 150. So 50, 100, 150. And that's going to put us right here at 250. So we're just showing our movement, how we moved. All right, let's look at, that's it for this page. Let's go ahead and turn the page. Oops, wrong thing. There we go. And now we're going to be looking at our next problem. So problem 2, a spelunker. That's a big word right there, spelunker. I want you to think about what might that word mean. What might spelunker mean? Spelunker. What might that word mean? Yeah, that's right. So spelunker is a complicated word, but if we break it down, lunker kind of sounds like something you might be lunking up. But what a spelunker is it's someone who cave dives. So they are a cave diver. Or you could also call them an explorer. So we have a cave diver or explorer. So is down in the cave next to the cliff. If she climbs down deeper into the cave, so she's going deeper, going down is a negative, but going up, if she climbs up, whether inside the cave or out of the cave and up the cliff, this will be a positive change. So if we're going up, it's positive. If we're going down, it's negative. Wants us to complete the table. So letter A has us starting at negative 200 feet. So let's take a look here. We're going down 150. So we have negative 200 plus negative 150 because it's going down. So 200 plus negative 150. And because these are both negative, we can add it like we normally would. And 200 plus 150 is 350. But it's going to be a negative number because both pieces are negative. Then we have negative 200. Negative 200, and we're going up 100 feet. So we have negative 200 plus 100. This is the same as saying 200 minus 100 and keeping the larger sign. So when we subtract that 100, we still have negative 100 left. Letter C, we're at negative 200. We're going up 200. So if their numbers are the same and they are opposites, they'll cancel each other out and it will be a 0. Then we have negative 200 and 250 feet up. So up is a positive change. So we have negative 200 plus 250. And again, we can just find the difference here. The difference between 200 and 50 is 50. Which number is the larger number? Yeah, the 250. So we're going to keep the sign of the 250, which is a positive number. And then here, we are starting at negative 200 feet, but we want to end at negative 500 feet. So how do we go more negative? That's right, we're going to go down. How much are we going down by? Yeah, 300. So we're going to fill this in as 300 down. Beautiful. All right, let's look at letter B. So letter B says to write an addition equation and draw a number line diagram for C and D. So it wants us to focus on C and D. Include the starting elevation, change, and final elevation in your diagram. So for letter C, it was negative 200 and 200 feet up. So we got to write negative 200 plus 200 equaled 0. And I think we can do our number lines like we did last time, where we can go in the middle, put a 0, and go up by 50s on both sides. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to put 0 in the middle and go up 50 on both sides. So 50, 100, 150, 200. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to have 50, 100. Oh, these are negatives. Negative 150, negative 200. All right, and our starting elevation was negative 200 feet. So I'm going to show my negative 200 feet. And then we changed our elevation going in the opposite direction, up 200 feet, to have a final answer of 0. Nice work. I want you to try doing D on your own. Letter D. Welcome back. Let's check out D and how you did. So D, we had negative 200, and we went 250 feet up. So again, I'm just going to number my number line. 0, 50, 100, 150, 200, negative 50, negative 100, negative 150, negative 200. All right, and our starting elevation was negative 200. And we added, how much was it? Oops, not that one. We added 250. So we added 250 to this. So let's start by marking off where we started. We started here at negative 200, and then we had a change of going up 250. So we're going to count by 50s. 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. Oh, so our final elevation was positive 50. All right, let's look at the last part, question C. What does the expression negative 75 plus 100 tell us about the spelunker? What does the value of the expression tell us? Pause the video and take a moment to answer this question on your own. Welcome back. So what does the expression negative 75 plus 100 tell us about the spelunker? Well, we know this first number here is going to represent our starting position. So the spelunker started at negative 75. And then we are adding 100. So what does that tell us? It means they went up 100 feet. And what does the value of the expression tell us? Well, if they were at negative 75 and they went up 100 feet, the difference would be 25. So now the spelunker would be 25 feet above the surface. So now they are 25 feet above the surface. Beautiful. All right, let's go ahead and check the next one. So the next page, we're going to be finding the sums. There are 3 quick questions. I want you to pause the video and take a moment to see if you can solve this on your own. Welcome back. All right, so here we have to remember a little bit about PEMDAS. So in PEMDAS, P-E-M-E, PEMDAS. So PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So we look at this first one, we have to remember parentheses. So we would have negative 35 plus, what's 30 plus 5? 35. Negative 35 plus positive 35, those cancel each other out, and now we have 0. Let's look at the next one. So we have a negative plus a positive. So because these are both negative, we can just add them together. So 0.15 plus 0.85. 5 plus 5 is 0. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Plus 8 is 10. Carry the 1. That's going to give us a whole negative. So we have negative 1 plus 12.5. This is going to be the larger number, so what's 12.5 minus 1? 11.5, or 11.5. All right, our last one for today, 1/2 plus 3/4. A half plus 3/4. Well, let's see if we can get this into a common denominator. 2 times 2 is 4, so I'm going to change this into fourths. So if I do that to the bottom, that means I have to multiply 2 by 1. All right, and now we can add our negative 3/4. Well, our larger number here is the negative 3/4. So we can do 3 minus 2. That's going to give us 1 over 4. And because the negative is the larger number, it would be negative 1/4 as our answer. All right, if you are struggling, please do the practice problems. Those will help you. And I will see you next time for our next lesson. Have a wonderful day.